beer sommelier Hayley Jensen, and today I'm giving a little beer class. We're focusing on the beers from Belgium, Holland, and France today. So I have the taproom staff, and we're gonna get started. So I wanted to talk about Belgium. They have been brewing for hundreds of years, and their attitude toward their recipes is like much more relaxed than you would see in Germany or the UK. Like, it's all about what ingredients do they have on hand. Each farmer could have brewed his, farmhouse ale a little differently and get different results, and that's totally fine. We'll get into the history a little bit more. Trappist beers, they originally started brewing them during times of fasting to be their liquid bread. They enjoyed the flavor, and they thought, hey, we could keep the lights on and pay our bills if we start selling this beer. I've actually emailed the monks at West Flutterin, so they do have the internet. And it's pretty funny to email a monk. No, I mean, it's a real thing. So they have to pay for that wireless, that Wi-Fi somehow. So we buy their beer. And now I've updated this, because before there used to just be 6 in Belgium and 1 in Holland, and now there's an Austrian Trappist monastery as well. We have the Benno from them on draft right now. So this is the Trappist seal, and it's very strict. It only goes to monasteries that produce beer. So we'll go through the types of Lambic. The first is unblended. I wrote it'll sometimes have a harsh or sour character. It's always batch by batch, could be completely different. If the wind blew in a certain type of yeast, that beer is fermented with that and comes out very different than what could happen in the next batch. If we just skip down to Goose, that's a blended Lambic. So that's taking these different batches and blending them together to get something a little more balanced, a little more pleasing. And Goose is also a mix of different ages. So fresh Lambic with 1-year-old, 2-year-old, all blended together gives you a more well-rounded, balanced, but still very complex sour. Another thing they do, instead of just mixing it with other batches, they'll add fruit. So whenever you see Creek, Framboise, it's just to describe what fruit is in there. And the fruit adds fermentable sugar that gives it a little more strength, but it also adds flavor, color. A lot of people like those when they're new to beer because it tastes fruity. It is, a little more accessible. So then moving on to Farro. This is probably the rarest Lambic style that you'll see because Farro actually can't be bottled. When you add sugar to a beer that still has active yeast, it creates CO2, and there's so much fermentable sugar if you're adding just a spoonful of sugar that the bottles will explode. I remember I went to Cantillon and they said we have a Farro, and I was like, oh my gosh, how are they doing this? Like, I didn't know you could bottle it, or how are they gonna serve it to me? And they just opened a bottle of the Lambic and then just added a little sugar, and I was like, oh. I hope you learned a little something about Belgian beer, and come to Taproom 307 and try some with us soon. Cheers.